Welcome to Daily Focus, and I want to welcome you from Indianapolis today. I had the privilege of getting away for a couple of days for our 29th anniversary. That was yesterday, and I'll be preaching for a friend tonight in their midweek service here in Indianapolis, and then heading back Wednesday morning. But we'll enjoy having Daily Focus on the road again. But, and I forgot my glasses, and so I'm probably going to need to read from my computer this morning, but I'm glad it's the same text and can help us get these truths dug out and applied. We want to look at a familiar verse, but a verse that is often quoted in the midst of difficult times. And it starts in verse number 22. So Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 22 says, "A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. A wicked man taketh a gift out of the bosom to pervert the ways of judgment." It's talking about bribery. A wicked person is willing to accept bribes in order to get ahead financially, in order to get what he wants. Verse 24, "Wisdom is before him that hath understanding, but the eyes of a fool are in the ends of the earth. A foolish son is a grief to his father, and bitterness to her that bare him. Also to punish the just is not good, nor to strike princes for equity. He that hath knowledge spareth his words, and a man of understanding is of an excellent spirit. Even a fool, when he holdeth his peace, is counted wise, and he that shutteth his lips is esteemed a man of understanding." So the challenge is, a merry heart doeth good like a medicine. A wounded spirit or a broken spirit drieth the bones. I don't know about you, but I've been on both sides. I've had times when I was just as merry and happy as could possibly be because everything seemed to be good. Everything seemed to be going well. I've had times where life seemed to be falling apart and it didn't seem to make sense. And every day seems difficult. And so God is teaching us the difference. But then he begins to unload how we are to handle life so that we can be merry in the midst of difficult circumstances. How is it that we can truly find joy of the soul in the midst of trial, tribulation, difficulty, and sorrow? And so he begins to talk about just the decisions of life. He talks about we should not be going through life in such a way where we want to get something out of it for ourselves. Anytime we approach life from a selfish perspective, how it affects me, what I really wanted and I can't have, what somebody else seems to always have but I've always wanted, and whenever we approach life from that perspective, we invite disappointment, we invite trouble, because selfishness just will never be satisfied. So God is teaching us this idea in this scripture verse about not accepting bribes to get ahead, but rather to work hard, to be disciplined, to be a person of integrity. That person is the person that gets fulfillment in life, even during the times of difficulty or sorrow. They know in their heart they're doing right. They know in their heart they're helping people. They know in their heart that they have a servant's heart. And in that difficult time, they can truly be satisfied and merry and experience joy of soul because of the fact that they are doing what is right. They truly exist to help people. But that person who is selfish, always trying to get ahead, they're going to have a very difficult time in viewing life properly. And bitterness and broken spirit, I just can never get what I want. I'm pursuing and I'm grasping and it just eludes me. And that person's going to be bitter. That person is going to be empty. That person is going to have dryness of bones. And so when we look at this contrast, God says, listen, I want you to be happy. I want you to be fulfilled. I want you to be satisfied. I want you to have the joy of the Lord. I want it to be your strength. And so, let me tell you, don't live life for self. See what you can do to make a difference in someone else's life. See what you can do to encourage someone else and be what they need you to be. And help them along and pour your life into someone else. Reproduce yourself and what God has taught you in somebody else. And that process of discipleship will bring a merry heart. It will bring joy and satisfaction. But then he goes and he gives a couple of warnings after explaining a truth. He said, wisdom is before him that hath understanding. In other words, a person who gets the fact that life is never going to be about himself. That person, wisdom is before him. He's going to have lots of options. God is going to direct him into some more things. Once he can just understand the fact life is about serving God, it's about respecting God, it's about letting God have his rightful place, it's about staying on the path of wisdom. A person who understands that, oh, there are so many options. There are so many avenues in which to be merry, to have a fulfilled heart. And so he gives a couple of warnings. He says, the eyes of the fools are on the ends of the earth. They're always trying to use life to get something for me. I'm always going to achieve. I'm going to rise above. I'm going to. And that person is a fool. Life doesn't work that way. And that's just going to lead to dryness of bones. And so he reminds us there that really we need to get the main fact down, and that is life is about serving God in the fullness of the privilege of life, and that brings a merriness of heart. He says a foolish son is a grief to his father, and bitterness to the one who bare him. A person who is selfish is going to break his father and mother's heart. They're just going to do stupid things. They're going to get involved in stuff that is empty and vain and destructive. And so God says, you know what? Life isn't going to be about you. Don't make it about you. Let God be God. And enjoy the privilege of serving him in the many facets of that life offers us to serve. And then he gives a couple of warnings. He said, you know what? To punish the just. In other words, to make fun, to undercut, to gossip about someone who does right. That is what a wicked person does. That's just not good. Nor to strike princes for equity. In other words, to discipline somebody for the fact that they didn't go along with your scheme because they had too much character or discipline. I'm bothered by the fact that our governor vetoed a unanimous bill out of the House and Senate that would allow people of integrity to expose people who were in government doing things wrong. And I'm thinking, why would you veto that? Why would you not want that? And yet, many times in government, we find that that is the last thing somebody would want, is someone to be able to expose evil agendas. And so God says to punish somebody of integrity or to discredit or undermine somebody for doing right, these are not good. And then he talks about the use of our words. And he said, listen, if you really want to know if you're about serving God, if you really want to know if you're about helping people, just take notice of how you talk and who you talk to and how you talk about individuals. And are you edifying? Are you encouraging? Or do you tend to create question, doubt? God says, listen, he that hath knowledge spareth his words. In other words, he's not just one that leaves his words unchecked. He watches carefully. Even a fool, when he does that, is counted as wise. And so when we look through this day and we look at the opportunities, God says, listen, if you'll make life about the road of wisdom, if you'll make life about respecting and honoring me and participating with the privilege of life, you're going to have a merry heart. You're going to be fulfilled. You're going to realize you're about a greater purpose, something bigger than yourself. And so God says, keep your focus. Have a merry heart. Stay on the road of wisdom. I trust you'll have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.